trying to convince Davita to let me buy a truck.
I see you looking at you. What do you need a truck for?
We just need a car that's over 6,000 pounds. That's the only way I'm buying a car.
Why is that?
Because then you can write it off. You can depreciate it.
Where you gonna put it?
It don't matter. Like, it's not, I don't give about. I don't give about what it is. Like where it goes.
I thought that was like an easy softball question. When I buy this vehicle, where am I gonna park it? I haven't got there yet. I think that's the main difference between you and I is just summed up in that conversation. I'm gonna buy this vehicle for the tax deductions, and I'm like, well, where are you gonna park it? I ain't thought about that, and that's what I'm thinking about.
It don't
I
matter.
ain't worried
Like
about that.
that's not what I need it for. I don't give a shit if somebody steal it.
I don't know what's wrong with him. I don't know what's wrong with him.
uh,
All right,
yeah,
finish taping my book together.
yeah, making hella noise.
Right. Oh, we starting? Did we start yet? Is this thing
Ladies and
on?
gentlemen,
Is this thing on?
ladies and gentlemen,
We have two mics now.
welcome back to another episode of the Rich by Monday podcast. I'm your host, Jared Wilkins, aka the Google Grad,
And I'm Dorance Creighton.
and this is episode 7, aka 6.2.2.
Has it been that long? We don't know what episode we on now.
I mean, we tried a couple times, but technology was not on our side.
Oh yeah, a few failures. So, catch me up with what's going on in the world, because I don't know.
I mean, depends on what you mean. I would hate to.
What's been going on in your world?
Um, man. So, well, as we just mentioned, I was looking for a vehicle over 6,000 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
We need another car. We just do. And I refuse to buy one. But if I can make it work for tax purposes, I'll do it. So that's a thing. And I just been getting a lot of bad news. Like I told you, it's been a lot of there's been bad news coming out since like January, but this is like real bad news. This is not like fear mongering.
Mm-hmm.
This is more like actual real life news. So
The actual news,
yeah, like it's like events. These are
not
actual.
not the
This is
fake
news. Yeah, this is
not the
news
fake,
based
the
on
actual
like
news.
actual events,
All right.
not like what we think is happening. Like no, this is what's happening right now.
Okay, well,
So
lay it on us. You gonna give us the bad news first, or the
I
good
don't want
news,
to,
or
man, because I don't want to sound like for one. Well,
just
okay,
hemming and
I'm
hawing?
I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it. For one, I hate being right about stuff like this, but also, um, I don't want to make it sound like I'm happy that this is happening because I'm not.
Right.
Um, but and I'll leave out specifics because I don't know who's listening. I don't want to ruin anybody's situations if information gets out.
What are you talking about?
So,
You talking about- you saving people, random phantom people.
no, it's man. You never know. Like some dude posted a video on Instagram about a transaction he was working on, and somebody saw it and then went direct to the seller and told because he didn't have a contract with the seller yet. He was in negotiations. So he said, "Hey, I'm looking at this deal. Blah 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 blah. These are the numbers." So he goes to the seller and basically uses his numbers to give them a better deal, and he got snaked out of his own deal.
Yeah, that's why you don't put your deals online.
We know that, but I'm saying these
You don't put your deals
these
online.
are very like specific people. So
It's
it's not
like
like if I
buildings move. Like we know that building.
yeah
Like
if I say their names or the companies they work for, I don't want that to because I got the information from people who know them.
mm-hmm.
So so for one, is a very large company that I kind of don't like. You're familiar with them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so Drew has one of his best friends works for this company,
Mm-hmm.
and he does the loans. Like he's on the capital side,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like the number 5 agent I think in the nation. But the guy who's number 1 there does about 100 transactions a month,
Okay.
right? And they have the only reason why I know this is because they have
Yeah, that's a lot.
I know they do like calls, like all the top earners are on like calls like every week.
Uh-huh.
So during the call they kind of talk about what they have going on, blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
So and I know this guy, so me and him talk sometimes, and then he's like Drew's best friend. So um that guy does around like 100 transactions a month, like just in his organization.
Mm-hmm.
So a couple months ago, I remember talking to Drew, and he was talking to Homeboy, and he was like, we're gonna talk every week, and we're gonna track what's happening on the sell side and what's happening on your side.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, things slow down for us kind of first on the sell side, but recently his pipeline has gone from 100 deals a month to 0.
Mm. Yeah, that's not good news for the trickle down effect. Right.
Like 0, not like oh I'm doing 30, like no, 0.
Yeah. So what do you think that main driving factor is? People, sellers just sitting on the mark or sitting on the fence.
No, it's the banks.
Mm-hmm.
The banks the banks are at a point where they have signed LOIs like out on deals, and they're taking them back
Mm-hmm.
and refunding your deposit. So there's no money. Like there's no credit unless you have like it would have to be extremely favorable terms.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And you'd
I
have
can
to
see
have a
that.
deposit. You'd have to have a deposit with the bank for 10% of the loan.
Mm.
So that doesn't seem like much, but if you're talking, 30, $40 million properties, that's 300 grand. You just have to sit there
Mm-hmm.
and you can't touch it.
Right. So that's the bad news.
No, the bad news, that's part of the bad news. So what what that means is, right? Because that's only like that's one thing,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if banks aren't lending, and not only on large transactions but even on smaller loans, where with guys who are currently in 1031 exchanges, like they can't get a loan,
Mm-hmm.
so they're gonna have to pay capital gains if they don't get a loan in time. Um, it also brings out a lot of like shysters, people who try to renege on terms, like
Mm-hmm.
because of what's going on. Like, no, I want to like this one deal specifically that we were working on. The day of the close, the buyer came back and wanted a $400,000 discount.
Mm.
This is the day we're supposed to close.
Yeah, that's the effort to get out the business or get out the deal
Pretty much, but
based on
it worked out to where
contingencies still in place.
it worked out to where like that's not gonna happen.
Mm.
Lawyers got involved and all that, but
Did he remove all contingencies or what?
yeah, I mean this is the day we're supposed to close though.
Right. Well, yeah, if his contingencies aren't removed, though, it don't matter. It's just the day
You know what I'm
it's
saying?
supposed to close.
So they said we're not doing this deal unless we get it. But this is what I'm saying. I'm talking about shysters. People who, like, this is Donald Trump 101. They're like, I don't care if contingencies are removed. I'm not signing this.
Yeah, yeah, well, yeah, that's a lawsuit.
Exactly.
That's
And so that's
yeah.
what I'm saying. So if you're inexperienced and you don't know that, you know,
So was the
it's
buyer
just
inexperienced, a new buyer? Where's the buyer
no.
source from?
They knew what they were doing. They were specifically trying to strong arm this property,
Yeah, okay.
like
Yeah,
from the sell side.
right.
They knew exactly what they were doing.
Yeah, I think it's important when you in whatever market you in to make sure that market has a certain amount of velocity and a certain amount of turnover, um, just so you can make sure you're eating every year, year after year. And
Yeah.
what it sounds like is, velocity is slowing down in certain areas, certain markets, and you got to make sure that you either make a pivot to another market that has higher
No,
velocity.
no. You
Um,
not you. What I'm saying is it's gonna hit residential later, like because residential is different than commercial. What I'm saying is it hasn't slowed down. I'm telling you, it stopped.
right, right. I get you.
Like there's only a handful of banks that loan money. None of them are lending money.
Right,
Like, slow down
right.
was like 3 months ago. I'm telling you, we're at a wall. Now it can
Hmm.
continue. Something can happen. Things can change. I'm not saying this is like we're jumping off a cliff.
Hmm.
It's
It,
just
it,
in
it
the
sounds like
moment.
it.
In the moment, it has. I'm saying it stopped. Like uh, there's it's just stopped. Like you can do
Hmm.
whatever you can do, and things will work themselves out along the way.
Hmm.
But um,
So it sounds like it's time to start sourcing cash buyers. There's still a
yeah,
lot of cash in the market, a lot of equity in the market still.
yeah.
I think
There's go ahead.
the only way, I mean, just one source of buyers or just a cash buyer, someone who has a gang of equity, and I'm seeing it now. I'm seeing a lot of people sell from Orange County, cash out on their property, and go further east and buy cash for a property. So,
Yeah.
you know, I'm always reminded that, especially in recession situations or pullbacks or whatever you want to call it, when the money dries up and deals aren't flowing, that there's a deal happening somewhere. So uh, it's important once we start getting the information on the market and where it's going to figure out where the transactions are being done still. Because that's where I messed up the
Mm-hmm.
last time. The last recession was like, oh my, everything, everything's falling. Everyone, has no equity. Everyone's upside down. And it left no room to think, well, where are the deals actually being done? And missed out on a huge opportunity for a short sale market to eat for a long time. But that's just
Mm-hmm.
one example, right? So it's important to find these different niches as our game plans as things change, because change it always happens. It always happens. So have you got to that part where it's like, all right, I kind of see where the market going. Have you thought about like what the pivot's going to be or what the pivot should be? Um,
No,
you know what?
there's no for me there's no like it's not is for me it's not like it's not the same. Like for us it's business as usual. Now I know
Mm-hmm.
how to navigate these waters because I'm smart enough. I've been here before and I have the contacts to do so. But
Mm-hmm.
so I understand what someone who buys in these types of situations is looking for,
Right.
right? So I know I already understand that. But
Okay. That
those
trade secret you don't want to talk about here,
no,
or
it's just
a
the
plan you
deal.
got.
Like the deals have to make sense. Like I don't want to get into like the talking about math and shit. The deals
Right.
just have to make sense.
Right.
Like
Right.
every deal in any market has to make sense.
Mm-hmm.
So no, a deal that you could trade at a 2.5 cap 2 years ago, at 23 times rent, that type of deal is not available anymore. So if you're someone who was relying on that, you're not in the market. Like
Yeah.
if you were a seller who was relying on squeezing every ounce of premium out of the value of your building, it's not happening. Like
Yeah. I think
it's
that's the point I'm making. Is like, okay, well, you're not my buyer, you're not my seller, but
yeah.
where are they? That's
So
kind of what the pivot is. We can no longer just um, expect every seller to get top of market and tons of offers, and now there's a bidding war. And I think it's on the professional, the broker involved, to explain to the consumer, the client, the seller, the buyers, what the market is now currently. Because we know our clientele is always 6 months, a year behind of what the market's actually doing.
I would even say it's probably more difficult for residential buyers to communicate that because you're dealing with people who don't know shit.
I think it's the same for your typical mom and pop buyer who owns 10 units, 10 to 15 units. Those are still people who are completely uninformed, just like the everyday residential buyer. Uh, so the explanation still has to be the same of this is what the market's doing, and I keep it's gonna have to be a lot of content, video, audio content of what's going on in the market, what's happening, like actual month to month updates. Because for one, people don't read. For whatever reason, they don't have time, or it's just easier to listen to like a minute clip of what's going on. So what I'm saying is, you got to do that.
I don't
What
even
I'm
know.
saying
I
is, you
mean,
do that.
yeah, we could do that. I'm not doing it by
No,
myself.
I said you do that.
uh,
No,
I
look, for
just,
real, though.
I just, it's,
That
I
got to
don't
be
know.
done.
Like, it's the reason why I say like it's not so much, it's different is because I'm talking to the same people over and over again.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like residential, I'm talking to new people.
Hmm.
There's people I'm bumping into, someone who's a referral who got in a position to buy a home, and that doesn't happen in my world. I'm talking to
Hmm.
the same group of guys, like the same 30 guys who buy buildings in Southern California.
Right.
So now of course there's mom and pop operators, but for the most part they feel the effects of things differently because they run a business.
Hmm.
So if tenants stop paying rent or if things become more expensive, they feel it because they're in the business of housing versus like a person who just is on their job trying to buy a home. They don't feel it until something compromises their job.
You're talking
And
about
what
the,
I'm
the
saying
effects
is
of the market or the
yes,
effects of the economy.
yes.
Right.
So
Um,
or gas prices because gas prices is something we all feel.
yeah.
But
And they went back up too. I was like, usually putting like 100 to fill up, and it was like $126. And
dog,
something broke me once. It used to be $86 to fill up my tank. I'm like, okay, this is bad, but it ain't super bad. Something happened when it turned to $100 bill to fill up the tank. And then it was over $100 bill to $130 bill. I was like, yo, I'm not going anywhere. I'm like, I'm on a grocery and gas budget. All I'm going to the grocery store to eat grocery food, in the gas station to drive to appointments into the grocery store.
nah, I feel that.
But but
I
but
feel that.
uh so okay, with the bad news and everything's going on, uh I mean, what do you think? I mean, is it sit the market out as a broker, or what is
No,
what?
because now is the time
I'm trying
where
to get to
those.
like what is the I'm trying to get to the upswing in the conversation. Like, hey
Well,
guys, this is all bad,
I haven't
but
finished yet.
okay, all right. I'm just saying, you're
But
bringing me down.
no, I mean that's why I didn't want to do it
Just
be,
play.
but what I found out is that because people don't want things to happen, they act like they don't happen.
Hmm. Yeah.
So it's like nobody wants this to happen, of course, but that doesn't mean we need to ignore it and act like everything is, butterflies and dandelions.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no, like these are the waters we're going to be treading over the next couple years.
Mm-hmm.
It just is what it is.
Right.
Um, and then so another portion of that, which is something that I found out that I didn't even know, right? So I knew like on some of these larger properties, like large institutional properties, that they were floating rate loans.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew that you could pay for like a rate cap. So say you got quoted, at like the overnight rate of like 2.6 or whatever, and then you put money aside every month in escrow that covers a cap, like a 12-month cap. It'll
Mm-hmm.
pay for the cap for the following year and so on and so forth. And you can pay for one that's longer than 12 months, but of course people do 12 months because it's the cheapest, right? Um, but now that the cost of that type of cap is going from 10 grand to like 150 grand, on smaller properties,
Mm-hmm.
right? Now on larger institutional properties, that doesn't exist. They're just floating rate debt, right? So I'm talking about large money, like
Mm-hmm.
large money. And so during the past couple years, there's a guy who's like one of Drew's best clients. Um, I know him, but I don't know him like that. But they run a group, and so for like the last 3 years, they haven't done anything. Like since COVID, they haven't done nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And recently, Drew was talking to him, and they're basically partnered. They've been tracking certain portfolios because a lot of money went into like the Midwest and the South, and even came into states close to California.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say the states either because I don't want to get nobody Googling. Because I would Google. That's why I'm saying this. Because that'd be me. I figure it out. Um, but they're tracking portfolios from like large operators who went out and spent money like in the past couple of years. And one in particular that they're tracking, um, this guy who's a well-known like CEO, founder of a large fashion company.
Mm-hmm.
Him and whoever else that he partnered with, they went and spent about $3 billion on real estate in the last couple of years, and about 70% of that is defaulted,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And that's just one. That's one. Um, there's also some buildings here in downtown that are pretty high value. They have a good amount of debt on them, like
Mm-hmm.
like a large amount of debt.
Right.
And the owners just went and gave the keys back to the bank.
Yeah. It sounds like another huge reset. Okay. Yeah, I borrowed too much money. Here you go. Bank reduces the price, puts it
Oh
back on the
man,
market.
they were like,
Now
"Here,
it's a
take it."
real estate owned property, and another investor picks it up.
So I
Another
mean,
savvy investor who
it's
just
like,
set out like, well, I'll just wait.
so what they're doing, what his group is doing is, because they invest with like super like high net worth guys, like billionaires, high 100 million stuff like that. They're putting a fund together, which is funny because we kind of just talked about that idea the other day. They're
Mm-hmm.
putting a fund together um, to basically just go out and buy stuff like in the next 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're like, whatever I want to buy now is going to be 50% off in 6 to 8 months.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, um, so no, like there's gonna be guys who buy, people who buy. Period. The goal is just to understand what's happening in the market, and that way you can figure out where you fit in. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because and if you're gonna run into people who are gonna come to you and say, like I had a meeting yesterday with someone, and she's pretty in touch with everything, but after having certain conversations with her yesterday about where things are and how rates impact her values, it blew her mind. Like she was so in tune with like what she thought, it was worth, or
Mm-hmm.
what you could ask for. And and she left like, wow, like I didn't realize it had this kind of impact on someone like me,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But yeah. So you just got to stay in the market. You just stay in the
Yeah.
market and continue to prospect. You'll find the deals. There's always deals there, but you definitely just can't do, like, you're not dealing with the same type of clientele, or the same transactions, I should say.
Right. Yeah, you gotta adapt and do something else. Yeah,
So
I think I seen that coming a few years ago, just based on the residential side, um where money just started to be way too expensive for the typical buyer, especially first time buyer. Um, you know, my first time buyers just, getting their ass kicked, the last few years. I was like, it's gonna be hard to build a business off of this. So it's like I want to help, but uh, you also got to eat. So it's not that you don't help that pool of buyers. You still help them when you can, but I had to change up my whole marketing game plan to just service people who have the money. Basically, that's what it comes down to,
that's what I'm saying.
and
Like,
that's
it's
going to be
you know,
across the board. When you're in a service-based industry like ours, we have to focus on serving people who need the service. That's what it comes down to. People who don't need the service, who can't afford the service, they literally can't be your client. They literally can't be. Um, I mean, what are you gonna do? So I don't know. It's an uphill battle, and that's something I learned a long time ago. Starting this business, that you can't build a business off of a clientele who can't buy your product. You just can't. If you do build that business, it's going to be very limited. There's no growth and no scale. So, um, this year I'm focusing on the process and growth and scale, and making sure that niche has a certain amount of velocity that can keep feeding my business year after year. And the way I do that is just look at the research from 5-10 years ago, and see how many buildings are selling or turning over in that area or in that market year after year. And if that number is consistent, and I can um, I can weigh that against the competition that's already in the area and how many deals they do, and try to figure out what market share I can take up, and for my own business. So yeah, that's and it's basically rinse and repeat. Whatever's going on in the market is just look at the data, see where the deals are being done, where's the velocity, and jump in. Jump in, find some type of unique marketing approach that's different from the competition, and you know, work it, keep working it, and just fall in love with the monotony of success, because that's really what it is. It's doing the same thing every day, and it's not glamorous, it's not fun, but that's how results get done. So yeah,
yeah,
figure it out.
you gotta stay in the
Figure it out.
chair.
You know,
You stay in the chair.
figure
Like,
it out.
it's there's definitely gonna be some people who have to go home. Like, there's gonna be a lot of brokers, a lot of realtors who just gotta go home because they won't
Yeah.
be able to do that. But this is, I'm talking about stuff that impacts, like the it starts in real estate, but it's banking. Like, banking controls everything. If there's no money to lend, then there's no money that goes to these companies to hire. They cut back on their spending internally. Hiring is not no longer just hiring freezes; it's layoffs
Yeah, we've been seeing that. I
and
mean,
firing.
gang of layoffs. I think
um,
you're right. The,
You
the
know.
cheap money has allowed everyone to sustain for a little bit longer. Just seen Bed Bath Beyond, they closed X amount of stores and laid off. I think
Yeah,
it
it
was
was a
twenty
poster
percent,
company anyway. Yeah.
20% of their
Yeah.
employees. But
Yeah.
think about what kept them alive. It's like the debt. We just
Oh, of
borrowed more
course,
debt
yeah.
and
Mm.
you know utilize bridge loans or whatever they use to just keep the party going. Um,
I mean, that's what they're supposed to do. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. That's kind of what that's your job. Is to
mm,
is to protect the business and you know um, that's just what it is. But
mm-hmm,
yeah, it's you just stay in the chair like you said in the past, and I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that we were just young and so we didn't know any better. There was
mm-hmm,
no wisdom there. There might have been some experience, but no wisdom.
mm-hmm.
Um, and so now you just understand like it doesn't mean the store is closed. It just means like the hours are different. I just I just can't come during this time, or you know what I mean. Like but I'm still gonna go to that store. Like
Right.
this is what I do for the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm.
So uh, just got to stay in the chair, and make it work.
Yeah.
It's you're gonna be dealing with as like in our business, like specifically, you'll probably be dealing with people who you talked to before, who now are like realizing you were correct,
Mm-hmm.
and so now it's like, oh well, what can I get for my building now, or what can I get for my house now? Should I sell it now?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so you're gonna get some of that. That so I mean that still helps us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Um, I definitely see that happening, like where people are like, it's I got to get out, especially older
Mm-hmm.
people. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. There's gonna be a whole nother wave of more seniors retiring and making moves. Um, even I think about the professional, the real estate professional, or just the licensed person, because everyone that posts has a license now in California.
mhm.
Um, it's going to weed out a lot of people who don't want to stick and stay because they thought real estate was easy, you know. Um, and once you in the business and work the business, if you're really trying, you find out really quickly it's not easy. And I just had
Mhm.
one of our new agents, called me and said, it's kind of frustrating with following up with people and not getting back, and they're not working on getting their loan stuff. I'm just smiling. I'm saying, oh, okay, good, good. That means you're actually really working the business. If you walk around here smiling all the time, I'm like, I don't know if you actually really, you know, making the calls and talking to people and following up, and because it's a lot of failure involved in the business of real estate.
Man, failure every
And
day.
yeah, I don't see a lot of people jolly and smiling, and even the people who are successful in closing deals because um and I think it's like a psychological thing because the work you put in, you don't see it actually manifest into anything until way down the line. So it's something about the doing something and right away you get the reward of something being done. In this case, you don't get that. So for the people who are even successful in closing deals, I find there's still not a certain amount of excitement when that deal is still done. It's like you get the
No.
money and you get to pay, the bills. It's probably been delayed or something now you can do your trip and or whatever it is. But I don't see a successful jolly person in this business. Um,
I
I
know a
can't I
few.
can't I can't think of
I know a few. It's
I
not gonna
can't think
last, but I know a few.
I can't think. Well, I'm thinking about the long term person because I'm talking to
Oh
people
yeah, no.
who other real estate agents who've been in the business 20, 30 years, 40 years. I met a guy at the last event. He was 40 years as a loan broker.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I find these people who who stick and stay, they're not jolly. They're just stoic. There's it's part of what they do. It's just another day. It's another day. It's another year. And um, I mean, they work it as a job. I don't see too many people who have a job this jolly about going
No, yeah,
going back
no,
and
most
forth
people hate. Yeah,
to their job. So
I mean, I hate my
even
job.
even
Like the job, the actual job, like the job of like
right,
talking to people,
right.
you know, uh, doing walkthroughs, going in people's like homes. I hate that.
Hmm. Yeah,
Like
yeah,
I won't go nobody's house, man.
yeah.
If somebody walk in my house, I'd be ready to fight. Like I don't want to do that to
Right.
somebody else.
They looking all mad
So
and surly and stuff because you called 12 times and make this appointment, and then you get there and act like they forgot. Oh, you supposed to show the you know that. You know we're supposed to be
yeah,
here.
hmm
Called several times. We confirmed through text, like, oh, I didn't know it was gonna be today. It's like, come on. Uh, anyways, I see that a lot on the tenant side in apartments.
yeah.
Um, well, anybody that's written something, they always surprised that you're there. What's I talking about before I went off on that rant of the ridiculousness?
He's,
But yeah,
he's, anybody who's anybody who's renting something is surprised. Like, what are you doing here, owner?
that's how it really be. It really be like every time is at least I would say like 80% of the time. That's what I'm getting.
You ain't
Oh, that
lying.
was
That's why it's
today.
funny. That's why even when they call you, like they call you about something, you get there and be like, "Oh, I didn't know y'all was coming."
Every time, like they push that out their head.
Oh,
They got so many other things I'm worried about. I'm not worried about you coming up and you know fixing a light bulb. But
I
anyways,
hate doing walkthroughs. I
yeah,
hate that. But
yeah,
you're
but
right. You're right. I think there is like even like you said, you look at the people who are like unless I feel like unless they have like a racket, like they have like a position where like it just works in favor of them,
hmm
you don't really see too many people like, especially in real estate, you don't see too many
hmm
like even the women. Like I'm thinking about the women who are successful, like they be smiling and stuff, but like
hmm
when they done doing the whole client face and stuff, and they turn
yeah,
around, it's
yeah,
like game face.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
like they go
I
into
know.
a whole like other mode. So yeah, you're
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, and I see it. I see it and I recognize it. I recognize that face. Um uh yeah.
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. Is it weird or does it make you a hater if you get excited when other people stumble?
I think that what's the, I mean why?
No, I'm just
What's the
because
intent?
even the way we talking about it right now is like okay, like now it's like you were saying you were talking with the agent and she's telling
Yeah.
you about the things she's dealing with, and then you
Hmm.
start smiling.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like oh okay,
Yeah.
like is that weird?
What I think of it as again, I know that person is working in the business, and I think for me, I relate to that person. It's like the old adage of iron sharpens iron. It's like
Mm-hmm.
I know that you're doing the same thing as me, therefore I can bounce it off of you and say, oh yeah, that's what happened to me, but we still gonna get through it. So yeah, I think it's almost it's exciting to see and recognize your equal in the things that's going wrong,
Mm-hmm.
and then you relate to what's going to get right. You relate to the struggle. You relate to the success through struggle, and that is exciting. That's exciting for me. Now, in terms of somebody I don't, well, no, somebody let's just say somebody somebody I don't know who is a competitor. I would also be happy of their failure, um, but not in a hater way because I think it's some good healthy competition.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that means that you know, I was able to compete at a higher level than my competition. So that also makes me happy. Um, you know, when I beat them. Um, but yeah. So I'm happy. I mean, I don't think a lot of people will admit to that. Um, but for those reasons, I can think of why it does make me happy. Now, on the other side, it doesn't make me happy when my team, right, my team or um, my culture or my tribe loses. That's what that makes me
Mm.
mad. You know, that makes me
Yeah, yeah,
mad and
yeah,
upset.
yeah.
I can think of ways of that I'm unhappy about that situation. So yeah, I guess it depends on
I mean,
it
losing
depends
is
on the
different though.
situation.
Like losing is different than like a stumble. Because when I guess that's all up in for
Right, right, yeah,
interpretation.
I get that. Yeah,
But like somebody losing or quitting like, I wouldn't get excited for that. But
yeah, yeah.
I remember when on the I think I've told the story. I'm sure I have about how I got snaked out of my first deal.
Mm-hmm.
But even when that happened and I found out, like, and we were like standing in the office and I'm talking to Drew about something, and he's like, "It happens," and like just
Yeah.
walked away and closed the door. And I was like, like, and I think that made it worse because I was like, "What you mean? What you mean? It don't happen to me. What you mean it
right, right,
happens?"
right, right, right.
Like, nah, somebody got to pay for this.
Yeah,
But
that's where you learn humility and
yeah,
get in touch with your own ego and own self importance and own privilege, and you have to
mm-hmm.
work through those things. And I think that's the hardest thing to ever do. And it happens continuously. It's not like
Yeah,
you work through it like, oh, okay, I'm over my ego or I'm over my. It's like no, it's just like it's always there. And you
it's
always got to
always
keep
there.
working through it, and um, it always rears back up, and you got to handle it again. I think that's the hardest part. The hardest part, and one of the hardest parts of this business is I was just talking to an agent then, and I said we went through explaining all the different ways of people who knew me personally, maybe a family member or a friend who didn't use my service, knowing that I was in the business of real estate. And I explained that she's like, "Oh, do that like kind of sever a relationship?" And I was like, "Yeah, in many ways it does." And it took a long time for me to realize, well, I wasn't treating that person as somebody I didn't know, and I was trying to earn their business, right? Like I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't doing all the things I would do to earn somebody's business who I don't know. Like minimal following up, checking on them, giving marketing information, giving this, giving that, all these type of things. And I was like, after a while, I had to realize that it was on me that that I didn't do my business to the fullest extent, and it was more my privilege of thinking just because this person knows me personally and they're very close to me that they would use my service. And I say,
Yeah.
don't ever. Everyone is the same.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone is a prospect. You have to not think of them as your friend or or cousin or uncle or whatever it is. They have to now be in the prospect box once they either reach out to you or express that they need your service.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't do that, so I had to own up to that and say, well, it wasn't my deal. It wasn't my deal. I wasn't privileged to the deal, and that took a lot to even get to that point. And
No, I agree. I agree.
so, with that still being said, if that happens, I'm still like, you know, no, I'm not rocking with you, but still, because it's not like after something like that happens, we're gonna go out to brunch and party,
The funny
but
thing is though, you're not. You won't be the one to make it weird. They do.
yeah, yeah, yeah. They can't talk to you the same, and then every
Yeah, like
time
they
they
make it
see you, they
weird.
bring it up. And I know the game. I know I've been in it that long to where it's like that person doesn't feel like they can be a friend or be close anymore because it always comes up. How you gonna invite me to the house? You know, simple stuff like that. Like, how you invite me to the house? Like, help me put this gate up, man. That gate kissed my ass. I hope it fall down.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah.
So yeah, I think it does sever relationship, and um, at least the people that's really close to you. Now, people that's just kind of like on the outer circles of friendship or people um, you know, you're not really close anyway, like that.
Yeah. I mean,
It's really
but some
transactional.
I kind of looked at it too. Like some people like are very, and this goes back to the like you always say, they're imposing their self importance on everything. But some people don't want people they know to be like involved in anything in their business.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so this is a large financial transaction. So they don't want you to know, even though you wouldn't know, the lender would. But they don't want you to know, like their situation when buying a home or something. I don't know. So I
I
mean,
just
that
want
is
to
a thing.
say, you know,
You know.
the people, the people in our world, they have no business. They have no business. You have no business. You know, we are all poor. We are all very, very poor. I keep saying this, and I can't express enough about how much money we don't have. You know, when you start doing deals at such a higher level, uh, you know, the largest deal I did was like 12 or 13 million, and the earnest money deposit was $500,000.
Yeah, that's
So
a house.
I'm like, we don't have any business, guys. We don't have like you're in my business or you know how much money I have or how much money I earn. Um, you just don't have any business. You don't
Hmm.
any type of money that you have will never surprise me ever
No,
if you're in my circle of friends
maybe
personally,
maybe
right?
that's what it is. Maybe that's what. Maybe it's a thing of I don't need to know how much money you have because I know how much money you don't have.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, if that's rude when you tell people that. Yeah,
But it's statistics tell you that. Like if we live in the
yeah,
same
yeah.
area and I know where you work, like
But like,
stats, bro.
bro, like we know math, we know research, we know. Like I already know what you coming to me with before you even came, just
Yeah.
based on like, come on, if we went to the same schools, the same colleges, like, you know, I know your parents and where they work and where they grew up, and I know their history. Like, you have no business. You don't have no business that I don't already know. Like you
Yeah.
said, based on stats and demographics.
Yeah.
So maybe again, let's practice this. Okay, let's put this back on me, on us, for the person who says I don't want people in my business. Maybe it's on us to explain why we already know your business, right? Based on where you live and where you work, this is how much you earn. You know, if you've been working here for 10 years, it's about how much you save.
Oh
You
man.
know,
Yeah.
if you have a grandmother or a grandmother who left property to you, this is probably how much you have there that was carried down. It's like maybe we build these models out to say, okay, this is you, this is you, this is you. This is most likely not you. This is the other people
Hmm.
that I handle in the buyer profile and the seller profile. You know, they have owned property for 40 years and
Hmm.
they have amassed this amount of wealth. I know that's not you because you didn't do it for 40 years.
Yeah. It's time. Yeah. Absolutely.
You know,
Yeah.
so it's I don't know. And maybe we're not better explaining how, you know, you don't have any business that would
No.
shock me into what?
There's.
Into what? Into telling somebody in telling your business or
Man. I
robbing
don't
you
know. I don't
or
know.
what?
I
Like I
just know.
mean, what is it?
I know that's a thing. Like I know it's a
I
thing
know
of
it is thing. It's
they
terrible.
they don't want and maybe so maybe like the like nonchalant approach of that you just do subconsciously because you've been exposed to other stuff. So someone, you know, maybe you don't make it seem like such a big deal and to them this is like their biggest financial like event in most cases. And like for someone in our shoes, it's like, oh, this is Tuesday. You know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
maybe they
So
feel
like
like they don't want you to be like, oh, like be judgmental over them. But it's not. It really isn't. It has nothing to do with that. I don't know.
I don't think it's that. I think they don't want you. Jared Wilkins to know
Oh no, I
how
know
much
that.
money they
Yeah, yeah,
have in the
yeah. I
bank. They
know
don't
that.
want to know me, Dorance Create, how much money he got in the bank. Because this is a thing that usually happens, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, this happened many times. So I'm usually working a deal, and it's probably somebody within the circle who also knows jazz, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's our family or a friend, and it's always a situation where, let's say, that person's talking to them. It's like, oh yeah, me and Dorance, we went out to go look at property, and we seen his property. He said, oh yeah, he probably told you. And it's like, no, he didn't tell me. I don't know what you're talking about. You
Oh,
know?
like they expect. Yeah, yeah. They expect that the
Yeah.
information to be
They
like shared that way. Yeah.
yeah, they're talking to her in the fact like, I already know you know this. And she's like, wait, back up. What are you talking about? You looking for a
Yeah.
house? I didn't know. I didn't know you're looking for. I don't know what he does in his business or who his clients are. So it's like you called me like, hey, yeah, me and Dorance went out, and looked at the property. That's the first time she's hearing that because you told her,
Yeah.
you know, and that's like that for everyone. We don't even
Mm-hmm.
talk about, between us, what different clients we working with and what the deal is going on and how the deal is going
No,
to,
no, not
about
really.
specific people,
No. Unless it's
especially,
like, unless it's something we can like learn from, or like there's a lesson there. Like no.
yeah, but it's usually never a person. Like I'm working with, Sammy Lucy, and this
Yeah.
is what her situation is.
Yeah.
It's never like that. Like even between business of people who we
Mm-hmm.
both might know personally. So, um, yeah, there is no business to tell. Um, my day is not filled with talking about you. I have my
Yeah.
own things going on. It's like
Well,
when you
maybe
realize everybody has their own life going on. Like I'm not thinking of, but first of all, it's not even exciting to talk about because I don't like talking about work because it's many ways I don't it's draining. There's many
Mm-hmm.
parts I don't like, so I don't like to get home and talk about that. So why would I get off my work of calling people and going through this and dealing with things and say, hey, Jess, this is what happened to me today? You know, like I don't like talking about it.
Yeah.
I got other things. I got to get dinner ready. I gotta go on a hike. I got clothes to fold. I got my own life. I'm
Yeah.
not talking about you. Everybody think they're the main character of everybody's story.
Man. Yeah, I mean, it's I don't know. I just know it's a thing. So I just
No, it is a thing. It's an annoying thing
yeah.
too.
But you can't like I don't know. I don't really get. Well, luckily I don't really deal with that anymore. I just kind of pass those people on to you. But like,
Man, we deal with it.
uh, but yeah, I mean, it's terrible nonetheless. But
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought up saving though, because something I saw something I saw a video the other day, and it made me think about something that like I don't think I've ever done before. This
Hmm.
guy, I'm going through YouTube, and this guy has a video, and the video says how I saved. It says how I saved my first $10,000.
Hmm.
Now, the reason why I'm saying this is because I've never like made a plan to save ten
Yeah.
thousand dollars.
Yeah. My savings have always been trash.
So, like I've like of course I have more than $10,000, but it's like I've just never thought to be like because he's a young dude,
Hmm. Hmm.
so I never thought in that position to be like I need to save 10 grand,
Right. Right.
and I thought that was
Hmm.
dope
Hmm.
because I'm like one I've never done that. I've never thought to just be like okay I need to save for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Um, and he did it in like 3 months or something. No, 6 months.
Hmm.
Yeah, in 6 months.
Yeah.
Um, and I was like, man, more people should do this.
He's like, hey guys, this thing called saving. Have you heard
Yeah,
of
like
it?
more people should do this. Um,
No, you're right.
so, but I want that. Like, have you ever like made a goal to save a certain amount of money?
Um,
Because I've never done that.
No, I can't say I have. Usually, if the money when the money's coming in, it's flowing in, and I got like a deal pipeline, I'm like, okay, these deals are gonna close. I want to stack, and I want to save this much. But I
Hmm.
only think about saving in terms of getting money in a bulk, and I'm like, okay, I'm put money here, and then I'm gonna use this money here. But
Yeah,
in terms of like day to day, like, okay, once every deal comes in, I want to save this amount. I've never been good at that, and I think it's because all my money comes at the same time. You
yeah.
know,
I
it
agree with
comes in
that.
bulk,
Yeah,
and it's like, all right, cool. Let me pay this off. Let me use that to this. Let me use that to this. Let me put this in, and you know, the joint account or whatever. But no, I haven't. I haven't. That's another thing I want to get better at this year, these next few years, and retirement too. Um, but no, I'm not good at that. What was the takeaway? Like, what was the plan?
I didn't
What
even
he
watch the
did?
whole video. I didn't.
Yeah.
I just saw like.
Man, I ain't about to say, bro. How you gonna get a saving and you can't even watch the whole you can't even watch the whole video?
I got the point. All right.
I heard
Like
the thing about saving, but I didn't listen to the whole thing.
it was like 20 seconds of like, oh, that makes sense, and then it's like next video, like you know,
It's like how'd the story end? I don't know. I didn't listen.
I ain't finished it, but I thought that was cool though. I thought it was cool. Like he talked about it. I got it saved. I
Yeah,
might go back and watch it, but
yeah. I wrote it down before. Like I remember a long time ago, before money came in, I was like, okay, I'm gonna put 30% to taxes. I'm gonna put 10% to savings, 10% to retirement, and I remember that was 50%, and then I was supposed to live off 50% of the money.
hmm
So I think that might be a good framework that I can use.
hmm
I mean, that's easy. Live off 50% of what you earn,
yeah.
30% to taxes, 30% to taxes, 10% to retirement, 10% to
I
special
mean, 30.
savings.
That's 30%. That's wild, by the way.
Yeah, I
But
mean, I mean, it's one of the things where you just put it away, and then whatever deductions you might want to take that year, at least you have the money
yeah, yeah. No, I get
instead
it.
of just deducting everything. Like,
Yeah, I get it. Yeah. Then you try to go buy
you,
something, and you
you
make
can't qualify.
five. You make
Right.
$500 a year. And then
Right.
you buy some
Right.
Chuck
You
E.
have, you
Cheese
have to pay
pizzas or
taxes
something.
to borrow money. That's for sure.
Yeah. Um.
And it's talking
Now
about Chuck E. Cheese.
yeah. I
We
seen
just
you went.
recently went to Chuck E. Cheese,
Hmm.
and it's all different. It's all different. First of all, they have no coins, right? You don't even get tokens to actually play the game. And the worst part is when you play in the game, the tokens come on a card now. So you put your
Hmm.
card in, you get to play the game. And now they do it where you can get the card for like 90 minutes, play all day, or you get it for like so many plays.
Hmm.
Like I don't know, like a game costs I don't know, 2 tokens. Well, what 2 swipes now?
Yeah, something like that.
So um, and if you ever win, you don't even actually get tickets shot out.
So the tickets they go on your card, like it's
Yes,
digital.
they on the card now. I was like, this is not fun. It's
Can you
not
hack the
fun.
card? I would try to hack the card.
Oh my goodness.
Then you got
Like,
unlimited tokens.
how can I steal from Chuck E. Cheese? I need 2 stuffed toys and there's 5,000 tickets. I ain't gonna never get there.
Yeah, man, what? I be in there playing all kind of stuff all day.
Once you get older, you
Um,
just look at the tickets and it's like, or the actual price, and he's like, yo, I spent $40 to get a 10-cent candy,
yeah.
but the kids have
So
fun.
we had episode 6, which was cut short, and I guess this will be the doesn't have to be the part 2 of it, but I guess this is the continuation of it.
Hmm.
And but I do remember. I remember you were talking about at the end. So if you remember it, you were talking about the dude who owns Compass,
Hmm.
and how like he said the goal of his company was not to be profitable.
Right, right, right.
You remember
Okay,
that?
yeah, yeah.
I don't know if you remember where you were going with that, but
Let me see. Where
that
was I
was
going with that three, four
like a
weeks
month
ago?
ago. But
um, it was probably going to end in like this is all absurd.
well,
How do you?
you said we need to really focus on like the raising capital portion of like business.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was like what we left off on, or just entrepreneurship in general.
Mm-hmm.
Like one element of that is to raise capital. Um, but going back to that, we were watching. We've been watching this show on Apple TV called We Crashed,
Okay.
and it's the story of WeWork, right?
Okay.
I've seen documentaries on it before, and I mean I'm just kind of familiar with the story of WeWork, but We Crashed is like a series about it with Jared Leto and Anne Hathaway, and
Mm-hmm.
so I'm watching it, and I can't help but think that we're gonna get one of these about Tesla in like 10 years.
Mm.
But have you seen it? Are you familiar with the story at all? Like what
Yeah,
happened with
I've
WeWork?
seen. Yeah, I've seen one documentary on it, and he's like,
Okay.
charismatic CEO. Everybody's into him. Everybody believes in his vision, and they just throw money at him. They
Yeah.
throw a gang of money at him, and he opens too many offices too quickly.
Yeah. He
And
was Kung Do 2.0.
yeah, I was going to say, Millie, we're gonna go across the globe. Yeah, stood through lavish parties for the people who work there, like
Mm-hmm.
Raven type parties, and everyone who lived there loved the culture and loved him, and almost like a cultish CEO type thing, you
That's what I'm
know,
saying. I feel like we might get one of these for Tesla.
for Elon. Yeah, I can
Yeah.
see that because people are just they not even thinking about the math. I think when you lead with math, I think that usually like you're usually in a good position.
Well, people start
Usually.
making up math. They, like they start making stuff up that to be like,
Yeah.
oh, this is the metric, blah blah blah, whatever. But like I was reading earlier, and I don't really know that. I didn't look too deep into it. I don't know the reasoning behind it, but
Mm-hmm.
they're removing all the ultrasonic sensors from their cars.
Okay.
So like like on your cars, like if you look in the front bumper, it has all these little dots, like these little circles and stuff.
Right. Mm-hmm.
That's like the sensors and the cameras to help you with
Yeah.
parking and
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
crash
hate those.
prevention. So they're removing that.
Mm-hmm. Why?
I don't really
How
know.
is it going to be autonomy or self driving without that?
Is gonna be well.
And maybe they're
I
scrapping that
don't know.
idea.
I don't know. No, that's gonna be a thing. I don't know if it's gonna work everywhere, but it's gonna be a thing for them. They've spent too much money on it.
Mm-hmm.
But I do know they're I was reading it. They're removing that from all their cars moving forward.
All
So
right, design aesthetics or I kind of
I don't
it's
know.
kind of ridiculous though. I know the jazz cars has that, and you backing up and like there's never nothing remotely close to you, and it just stops. It breaks the car.
Yeah.
It makes this horrible like squeaking sound. I'm like, yo, what is this? It scared the hell out of me the
I
first time it
mean,
did it.
I mean, some are better than others. like,
I'm
but
like,
yeah,
they need an update.
it's they're removing them from their cars. So supposed to be some kind of savings. I don't know.
Oh, that's the point to
Um,
save some money.
I would assume. Why else are you removing stuff? Like
Mm-hmm.
you don't remove stuff that you need to spend
All
money
right,
on. like, so,
we're gonna take these windshield wipers out. It's just too much for us.
so I'm imagining it has something to do with that. But
Right.
then that takes away from like auto park and it's gonna be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of the features that they
Auto. Oh, okay. Auto park.
yeah,
For some reason, I thought that was like a theme park for automobiles.
I'm sure it is somewhere in America. Um, what else? I'm thinking about the things I had to ask you that we didn't talk about yet. Um,
Yeah, from two
oh,
weeks
we
ago.
never gave an update. We never gave an update on the Bank of America loans.
Mm. Yeah, we sure didn't.
So
And I haven't even. Let me see. Let me see if I can go to those updates because I haven't
okay. Well,
looked at
while
it in
we
a
get
while.
there, while you do that, um, are you a fan of Kanye West?
What era Kanye West?
I'm talking about him,
No,
like all eras.
um, no, I wouldn't say a fan.
Okay,
I wouldn't say a fan.
good
Um,
answer.
he's just um, he's went off the deep end.
Yeah, I mean, I
I
wasn't even asking about. I wasn't asking for the reason. I know. I just realized he's in the news right now. Okay, so I wasn't even asking for that because I ignored that.
mm-hmm.
But did you hear about the whole situation like with him and Gap and Adidas
Mm-mm.
about how like
The,
he's
the the last thing I seen is scrolled across YouTube, and I was listening to it when I got on this, and Trevor was on Trevor Noah, and he was talking about how he said something anti-Semitic, and I didn't get to that
yeah
part yet, but
yeah
that was like the
yeah
only thing I
so
seen.
yeah
And then the school he did, the school, and
yeah that was weird.
I'm thinking, yeah,
Yeah, it's you know what, I'm not talking about Kanye West.
you worded yourself out already.
Yeah, I'm not because I forgot that he was in the news for some other stuff right now. And at the time, it was more so about when I wrote it down. It was about like what he was dealing with, like with Gap and
Mm-hmm.
um, and Adidas, and how he's going around saying like they're stealing his designs
Mm-hmm.
and all that kind of stuff. But like everything he does belongs to them. Like so, it's like how are they stealing something they own?
Was he like creative director or something? Or he actually making something for the company?
Yeah, like he like the Yeezy brand, I believe, is owned by Adidas.
Mm,
I believe. I could be wrong, but I believe
yeah.
Adidas. Like he's been on rants with Adidas. He was posting pictures of people who work there and talking crazy to him. And this is
Mm-hmm.
how you know, right? This is how you know that he's not in control, because they made a statement that said uh, the partnership between Adidas and Kanye West is under review.
Mm.
So if he owned it, why would it be under review?
Right. Why would it be a partnership?
Or I
Um,
think I used that word, but I don't even know if that was the
unless it
word.
unless in somewhere in the contract it says some type of like intellectual property wherever he builds or creates there is 100% owned by him or some entity he owns. But we don't have the contracts.
No, no,
But
not at all. But you can tell that they own it because one, they're still selling it, and two,
yeah,
and two,
not scared. Like,
yeah, like,
what you gonna do?
and
Sue me?
two, they said you are under review. That means they can get rid of you and still
Yeah,
do
that's probably
you.
the language. We can terminate this partnership or whatever at any time
Yeah.
with our discretion without any. What they say usually they say without any notice or
hmm
reason.
But
Um,
yeah. So that's what it
what
was
can I
originally about.
try to think about something good to say? I don't have to. I don't have to say anything good about what I like about Kanye.
No, I wouldn't ask that. I didn't even ask you what you like about
No,
him. It
no,
was just
I was gonna
yeah.
just offer that, but I don't have to.
Nah, man. Nah, he tripping right now, and him and his buddy, his female buddy,
Who's
um,
that?
they got a documentary coming out, um, exposing, uh, you know, the organization known as Black Lives Matter.
Mm.
I
Yeah,
also
okay, yeah.
think,
I seen that shirt too. He wore.
I also think that it was very like, I don't want to call him dumb or stupid, but I
Mm.
think it wasn't a great idea to post on your Instagram that BLM is a scam.
Mm.
I don't think that was a good
I've
idea.
never seen like one person um attack or be involved with so many things at so many different things all at
At the
once.
same time,
You know,
yeah, I just
uh,
yeah, you're right.
like
I
it's
think
just so much. It's so many different things. How could a person be involved in fighting for so many different things? That just let me know if in my experience, if my focus is is shattered in that way where it's all over the place, I don't know enough about one subject or one topic enough to even speak on. So that's why, like, I don't know. With a lot of things I don't go into, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know.
Well, because that's a smart thing to do.
Yeah.
Like,
Like, I don't know. You
like,
know?
I don't know. Tell me more.
Yeah. It's like I can talk out of my ass about the subject or what I feel or what I think based on other things I can kind of grab experience from. But other than that, specifics, I don't know. Um, but I that type of person is no, I won't even go into that. But
Well, I said, I said, I said it wasn't wise because there are people who don't know the difference between like the org and like the sentiment.
oh,
Like, you
okay,
know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
And but they'll automatically associate the two.
Yeah, the actual organization, the inner workings,
Hmm.
the mission, the goal, the visions, and the same. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, I agree. Yeah.
and especially with him doing what he was doing while saying that, uh,
Mm-hmm.
that just what I don't think that was wise. I don't think
And,
that helps him
yeah.
in any way.
Also, I think we have to be in practice of ignoring people who don't say complete sentences or who don't give context. You know, and we have to be in that practice. You just can't come out and say, you know, um, you know, I hate Toyota, and then you allow everyone around you to interpret what you mean by saying that. Like, there's never any space to be like, well, what's the content behind this, or any space to say, I'm just ignoring you, like, because you didn't start with a full sentence, any
Hmm.
context, any data. You just said something. You just blurted something out, and if that was a little baby who just blurted out their first word, you just say, "Oh, that's cute. They trying," and then you go on about your business. So why would you be in
Called
the
him a
practice
baby.
of just like ignoring things that don't have like an actual no full weight to them? Because now it,
I
it,
mean,
it leaves it on us to fill in the gaps, and like, I'm
yeah,
not doing that.
I think the adults do. I think the adults definitely they see that or hear that and then be like, okay, like it
I don't think
doesn't.
the internet be on fire every time somebody
Yeah,
says
but
two
it's
words and they just the interpretations they just run wild.
you like I was thinking about this the other day, right? Because we always talk about uh like attention is a commodity now, like a way to just grab your attention, and but I actually think it's way more specific than that.
Hmm.
I think it's the attention of a specific person or like type arch
Hmm.
like a specific archetype, and I think and so it looks like it'll seem like that's the overall feeling or the overall like sentiment or overall reaction. The reality is this is just how these people are feeling,
Mm.
right? So what we're seeing may not even be the reactions from, because even me and you, like, if we didn't bring this up right now, me and you would never talk about this,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
It
But
wouldn't
there's
be any.
people who
Yeah,
talk about it all day,
yeah. I know. I know.
and there's a reason. They're like they're I'm gonna just say it. I think I think the attention of the impoverished is the most valuable thing in marketing
Mm. Why do you think that is?
because they don't have nothing to do,
Mm.
and they'll spend that sounds bad, huh? And they'll spend
No, no. It sounds that sounds like what's going on.
and they will spend on since they live in extremes, they will spend under those same like pretenses. And
Hmm.
what I mean by that is um because they deal with like the compression of time or the
Hmm.
for them they feel like they don't have time to to do certain things. I don't have time for that. I don't have
Hmm.
time for that. It has
Yeah.
to happen now. I don't have time for that.
Mm-hmm.
We seen what just happened to the rapper in at Roscoe's, PNB Rock, right?
Mm-hmm.
He go to Roscoe's, which he just went. I don't know why he went to that one, but he went to
Mm-hmm.
that one, and everybody's like, "Oh, she dropped the location, blah blah blah," and it's like, well, no, like they probably saw him. They
Mm-hmm.
probably didn't even know who he was,
Mm-hmm.
and then turns out I don't know if you knew, but they arrested the guy who killed him.
I seen that come up. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
and
like
they
a
were in
father
the
son team.
they were in the
That
parking
is
lot.
that's just crazy.
So they are dealing with
Crazy.
the compression of time, bro. Like it's not. You can sell them extremes because in their mind, extremes are the only things that work for them. So
Mm-hmm.
if I'm somebody like Kanye West, just using him as an example, who speaks and does things in that way, it resonates with them because that's how they live their life.
Mm.
So
It's
from a
like,
marketing perspective, this is what they react to,
mm.
right? And we know when it comes to social media, I can specifically target a set demographic on my marketing. So if I'm someone like Shade Room, the Jasmine brand, or whoever all these other companies are, um, if I have a budget of $20,000 to $30,000 a month in marketing, like I'm
Yeah.
targeting the same people
Mm-hmm. People
for
who
three
follow
hundred
these
thousand dollars a
different,
year.
yeah,
Yep,
people who follow these type of accounts, like this type of information,
yep.
and yeah, I think that's I mean, for a long time, I just felt like I don't belong. I don't belong. I'm like, this is but I'm having to keep coming back and speak on certain topics because it's part of the overall culture I'm part of.
Hmm.
And it's like you can't get out um, until you like. It's like I remember one time, you go on social media breaks. You're out of social media. You don't know what's going on the social media side of the world, right? And then what happens is I found if I don't know what's going on in the social media world, the actual world comes around and brings it to me. So now
Yeah.
I'll talk to somebody in person and say, "Hey, have you seen what such and such did?" I'm like, "No, I don't know." And then they say, "Oh, this is what happened. This, and this happened." I'm like, "Oh, okay." And then at that time, I can give my opinion on it, or I can say, I don't care about that," or "I hope that works out." Um, but these things just kind of like come to you. They come to you
Hmm.
because you are literally like ingrained in the culture, you know,
Hmm.
and it's so hard to get away from. It's like you don't want to all the way get away from it, but you kind of want to have your foot in
But
because
like, why not
you.
though?
I don't know because it's I think it maybe just be what you know, and then all your friends and closest people are also in part of it. So
Hmm.
maybe the only way to get out is to completely leave, and don't ever come back, and be okay with that. Because who says that my culture has to be just these things? Why does it have to just be about Kanye or people getting killed or people getting shot or all these different things? Like why does my personal culture have to be that? Because you know overall general culture
Hmm.
or this certain small amount of culture is that so um I just really been focused on just building my own culture. Like I don't really have to do this, do these things. I don't have to partake.
Hmm.
I don't have to, and it'll be okay. And I also don't want the person to say, hey, to grab somebody else and say, hey, you don't have to do that either. I don't. That's not my ministry either. Whoever's living their own culture, that is completely fine. But this is what I do.
Hmm.
You know, I think of like if I was a Muslim, right, and I say I don't eat pork, or I don't drink liquor. I don't, you know, you just don't do it, right? You just don't do it. So if I'm a Christian, I don't go to that person and say why you don't eat pork or you should eat pork. It's like I don't do that because it's cultural. I
Some
just
do.
don't.
Yeah,
You
some
know,
do.
I'm talking about like devout people who say
Yeah.
this is what I do, right? And they not like, yeah, I agree, but I do like bacon. Um, so which is a new step for me to be like, I don't have to always be the person like, hey guys, I found out this new thing that's working for me, is working in my culture. You should do it too. And that's not the thing, because how do I know? How do I know what I do is going to be helpful for anybody else? You
Mm-hmm.
know, and try to ingrain that culture on somebody like some type of colonist. Um, uh,
Okay. I mean, I would even go back, like going back to what you said. I think it says a lot to even accept it as like our culture.
yeah, yeah.
Cause I don't I would never say that, but
That's why
I
I'm.
understand like when you out in the world, that's how it people
Yeah,
say that. You know what I mean?
we have to
But
minimize it. Like I'm minimizing it in my life.
mm-hmm,
Like I don't listen to a whole lot of rap music. I have some trap song I like listening to. Uh, but the everyday full culture of wearing, I think about like when I was in high school, like I was wearing the clothes, wearing the shoes, listening to the music, talking about popular subjects. It's like I minimize a lot of that because I just got away from it, and I minimize a lot of the music, and I just start doing something else. And I think a lot of people who just say like, this is not really what I'm about. These are not my values, or they have to decide they want to minimize it too in their lives and go do something else. But um, I think it'll always be a part of it because it's kind of like you grow up on it. You grow up on a certain thing and doing a certain thing, eating certain foods, going to certain places, uh, you know, experiencing entertainment in a certain way, like all these different things. As you do them with the people you're doing with, it becomes culture until you start building something different. And
mm-hmm,
it's hard to do that because if now I'm not into buying Nikes. I mean, we used to stand the same lines, right, for the new Jordans come out and stuff like that. If I'm no longer buying Jordans, like, dang, I can't even hang out with my friend no more. Our common things we were both interested in is now
yeah,
fragmented.
it don't
We
exist no
do
more.
different
Yeah.
things.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's another reason why we hold in the culture, because it's not just you know a phantom cultural thing. It's the people. It's the people and they're the
Mm-hmm.
people close to you, like they're your friends and your family, aunties, uncles, brothers and cousins and sisters. They're all involved in that same thing. And for you to be like, I don't do that anymore, you become, you become the black sheep. You become the outsider. And who wants to be an outsider with the people that's closest to them? Uh, so that's what you risk by minimizing certain things in your culture. That's why I say minimize, because instead of just completely leaving, maybe that might be the future. To be like, I don't
I
know,
mean,
I'm off.
I
I'm off
think
on
I
something
think
else,
it
guys.
is
I don't
because
know.
like it's like it because well for one you have to really like I really like have to try to dig into it and think, is it actually ours? Like somebody's been cutting this check for 40 years.
Right? Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they is it really culture or is it like programming?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, it could be, but I don't think the person,
In
or the color of the
in
person who
today's
actually
world.
owns it, the
Yeah.
color of the person who actually owns it, or the entity that owns it, the corporation. I don't think it matters much on what that person looks like or where they're from for it to continue. So in other words, it can be the blackest person with the blackest best intentions, uh, just cutting the checks, and I think it won't change much.
No, no, no. But they get to yes, I agree because now you've created a system to where I'm just repeating what was already done.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like so it matters because they get to pick and choose what we see.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying like they're doing it specifically because uh they're like for racial reasons. I don't believe race has much to do with it. Like business is very formulaic. Artistry is
Yeah.
expressive. Businesses is based on formulas. All they're doing is running formulas,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it doesn't matter who it is. You
Yeah.
know, they
I
got
agree.
a Hispanic kid with rainbow hair and face tats and made him into that. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's all formulas. So, um, but they get to pick and choose where the money goes.
Right.
I also like thinking about it from that perspective. It also let me know that many of us aren't prepared for what we ask for
Mm.
because as artists, as an artist, you're a founder. You may not know it, but as an artist, you're a founder.
Mm-hmm.
So if you as an artist, you go to a label and they provide you with an advance or working capital, you now have the money to build out your company.
Yep.
Now we hear artists every day complain about what record labels do, right? And
Mm-hmm.
they do shady stuff. I'm not arguing that. But what I'm saying is, how is that different from someone who ran a company and then going to get seed capital or something like that from a hedge fund
Mm-hmm.
or
Mm-hmm.
they raised a Series A round of funding? How's it different?
Right.
You know what I
No,
mean? Like
no, I don't think it is different.
so it's like, oh, they're doing this to us, blah 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 over here. But like if I had a company, I would do the same thing and everything would be okay. Like it's the same process. Like you build you're the founder of whatever your entity is, and it's up to you to make it work. Now you can make
Mm-hmm.
excuses that oh, we didn't know much. That's true, you didn't know much. Maybe it was predatory in the way that they uh, pursued you and gave you the funds, but that doesn't excuse you for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
At the
Yeah.
end of the day, you run a business. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
this is a business. It's no different than if you wanted to take your company and expand, and you went and got a $3 million round of funding from wherever, and now somebody gave you money. They're an equity partner in your business, and you have to work to make sure they get paid their investment. All right, we back. Dorance
Back
had to
on.
take a potty break, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Cheating.
like is that not the same? I feel like it's the same thing. Isn't it the
Yeah.
same thing?
I think so. I was just thinking. I wonder. Why if we don't own the like distribution of what we see? Why we don't own like um businesses, the business like schools for the just to teach the business of the industry? Why isn't that a thing? Where you can actually
Well,
get government funding to send people to school.
you mean like, oh, school? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, why
Because
why
people
why
don't want
nobody
to.
doing that?
Nobody wants to do that. Like
Nobody
artists,
nobody
artists.
nobody working on that?
No, artists aren't like the only
Nobody
person I
working on that?
know who does anything similar to that, like anything or like close to that, is Wendy Day,
Hmm.
and she brokered. So Wendy Day is famous for brokering like the Cash Money deal, the Diplomats deal. I think she had a
Mm-hmm.
hand in the Drake deal. I think she
Mm-hmm.
did the Shady deal with Interscope.
Mm.
Um, and these are like
Yeah, it's
significant
huge.
record deals
Right.
um, that worked out for the artist, right? Like only for
Mm-hmm.
the artist. And so she's probably the only person who now she has a podcast. But I remember back in the day, like before people really knew who she was, like I used to talk to her on Twitter,
Mm.
and she put out a book. Like I read
Mm-hmm.
her book. Um, what's the name of her? I think it's called The Secret or something like that. But they talk a
Mm.
lot about how to like as an artist, what you should be doing, how to break records properly, how to
Mm.
network, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean, how to package up your content
Mm-hmm.
to deliver it to people to make it more to get more eyes on it, more attention on it.
Right.
Like one thing that just came up the last time I saw a clip from it was when you when you register your song with BDS, which tracks like your radio spins,
Mm-hmm.
you can also send like an 8 bar like loop, with no words, just like of the beat, because the DJs get it, right? So before they'll play your record or say they're doing something on like on the radio or whatever, they can have that loop going in the background.
So they're kind of using it, but not using the whole thing.
Yeah, so the
Using a
loop will be
portion of
playing,
it. Right.
and then they may go into your record, but they have like a precursor to going into that record, you know, and
Right.
they can also use that to figure out what BPMs match, so they know how to fit your record into different sets, like what songs fit with it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Instead of using the whole record, just give them like an 8-bar loop. You know what I'm saying? And then they'll be able to line it up with other songs that match it tempo wise and things like that, and they'll figure out how to add it into the mix. So it was like,
Okay.
yeah, like just, you know, that was a bar, but you know, just different stuff like that. But yeah, you're right. I think too many people are okay with just making money on ignorant people.
Yeah.
And in music and entertainment, it's it's common to just steal. Like it's just common practice, because the desire for somebody to want to be famous is greater than their need to have their business correct.
Yeah. I think it's easy to get caught up in that, trying to be the man instead of just being the full businessman. You know, I get caught up in it too. It's like, you just the thrill to ball out before it's your time is so innate and so ridiculous, that you have to keep checking it, and it's hard to do, but it has to be done. So you got to be the full businessman, business person.
Yeah.
Before you just a man.
Even going back to Mr. West, did you see when he had? I saw the clip. I didn't see the whole interview, but he had a clip where he talked about Big Sean, like that was the worst decision to sign him and blah 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 blah. And they went against him, and you didn't see that. So this was like months ago. So Sean went on the same show. Big Sean went on Drink Champs, not too long after that, and he's like, I've never talked about this before, but Kanye owes me $6 million. Right. So he's like, he said, because the way this usually works when you have a label deal, as it works in any other business, which is why I don't know why people treat the music business like it's some type of
secret,
special thing. The money, like the label will put the money up, they'll invest it into the artist or whatever the project is. They sell the product, the money comes back to the label, then they distribute the money accordingly. So when money came back from album sales or whatever their deal requires, they sent the money to Good Music, right? Because Big Sean is signed to Good Music,
right?
So it's on them to then distribute the money accordingly.
All right. Yeah, that's where you hang your license. Your license with that broker, they pay you out.
Exactly. So he realized he had to hire his own auditors, and he realized that Kanye wasn't giving him his money. So that's Good Music wasn't paying him, right? So Kanye's running around about people stealing from him, and and all this other random stuff, and the whole time he's using Big Sean money.
That goes back to not handling the business. We get caught up so much on just what's the name gonna be, and you have a name for the business. Now you have a business. You have a DBA. I'm doing business as, and now I'm gonna
run
just
the block
go
LLC.
Yeah. Right.
We outside as incorporated.
Yeah, there's no second step of learning the business.
But it seems like that only applies to, I won't say it only applies, but it's like super like prevalent when it comes to like entertainment. Like nobody knows what they're doing on purpose.
On
purpose. because they don't want to know. Like people don't want to know. Like you, if you talk to artists, they'll say, I don't want to. I want to just focus on the music. I let somebody else do that. And then 2 years later, they're suing the record label.
Yeah, they stole from me because I was focused on the music, on the art.
Like, bro, you run a business. Like you people don't steal from you if you run a donut shop. Like it don't matter. You know what I mean? Like it don't matter. You know? But you're a founder.
Yeah. It's so many moving parts. You're right. There's so many moving parts. Even with marketing, retaining clients, client engagement. I mean, yeah, all business do the same thing.
It's all the same. I seen a dude do marketing for you know who Mr. Beast is?
No.
So me and you are probably the only two people who don't know. Right. So I didn't know who this dude was, but apparently he's the most popular YouTuber. Right? Across, I don't know how many channels he has, but somebody offered him $1 billion. Like a hedge fund offered him $1 billion.
Okay, I did hear that. I heard that story.
For all his channels and all his merch and everything like that. So he's the most successful YouTuber, I believe. Right. So some guy decides to make a whole YouTube training course based on him. Right. Like based on this is how you build out a channel like this. This is what you do. And I'm like, and he's explaining it like you build one channel and then you get that channel big enough and then you create another channel. And I'm like, and I'm like, this is like everyday things. It's like none of this is new, but it's to everybody. Everybody's like talking about it and spreading it like this is some type of new wave of information. And I think that's why people are losing. And the old people are like, the people who got the money are just continuously making money because we keep thinking that everything is new.
Right.
And it's not. Like it's the same way. If they
don't just teach scale. They don't teach scale. Yeah.
Every day is a new course about scale. That's all it is. Scale and vertical integration. Like if your real estate company gets grows to a certain point and you say I want to expand, I want to expand into home inspections. Like that's in line with what you do. All right, cool. Let me buy or let me start this inspection company. Right, and then that grows to whatever it needs to grow to, and then you say, all right, I want to do loans now. Let me start the loan business. Like that's not like that's normal business. That's not some new approach to life or like the secret that you got to pay $8,000 for to come sit in a hotel room. Like I don't know why that bothered me so much, but I was like, this is stupid.
People don't know where to start. It should be like they should start a library. You can go to the library, and if they don't have the book, they'll order it for you.
I didn't know that.
So you can lease it.
I am getting a library card though. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why.
Because it's a tax write-off.
It might be. I don't know. I haven't looked yet. But
I don't know what I'm gonna do with this library card, but I know I'm gonna get a tax write-off. So that's why I got it.
So you can use. There's a website you can use to track like manufacturers on basically to find like local or domestic manufacturers.
Right.
So you can track whatever company you like or whatever company you want to see who's making their stuff, and then that way you can go directly to them. And the only way to access it though is at the library.
Got it. Well, I hope you get also other uses out of that card.
That's all I'm going for.
But
that's all I'm going for. Because I was talking to my barber, and he's got a lot going on. But I'm like, you a barber, but like you also like you're a brand. You need to. It has to be more than you just cutting hair. Like I was like, you're capable of doing more.
You can scale.
Yeah, you can scale.
Vertical integration.
DM me grow. I'll show you how. So we were just talking it up, and I was just like, man, why don't you just like make your own clippers?
Mm-hmm.
Because like he
Right.
knows clippers, he understands how they work and blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, yeah, I thought about stuff like that. Um, he's like, I just don't really know how much I'm gonna like how much money it's gonna cost to figure it out, but I know it's gonna, take some money.
Right.
And and I was like, well, you can go to first I only knew about this one that works for China. Like you can go to a website and type in a manufacturer or a company, and it'll tell you who makes what. So you can just go directly to them and with a drawing and say, "This is what I want," and they can make it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, so if you want to go to China, even if you want to take a trip, you can take a trip to China and go visit the factories
Yeah.
and to go make sure it's a real thing.
I met a guy who
Hmm.
at an event who was telling me that very same thing. I'm sitting here
Yeah.
talking to him after the event was over. He was parked where I was parked, and we started talking. Because I think he was driving a Toyota, so I was asking him about if it
Toyota
was 4 wheel
Bros.
drive. Yeah. So we started talking about that, and he was a car guy, and he ended up working for Porsche for some time.
Hmm.
I forget the guy who builds them. But then he started talking about he had this other business where they brought him on. They basically made bicycle tires, like road
Hmm.
bike tires, and he found out through cold calling different manufacturers and people who sold tires, and basically his job was to sell tires to these companies.
Yeah.
So he had the connection with the manufacturer who was making tires, and he would go to the people who were selling tires and try to sell them tires. But anyways, he found out that this specific tire that people wanted that was in demand, but it was no longer being actually manufactured or built or created.
Hmm.
So he actually went back to the person who makes the tire in China somewhere, and they actually still he went through and looked at all their moldings. He's like, "Do you have this specific tire from 19 something?"
Hmm.
And it's like, "We don't make it anymore." I'm like, "Why do you want that tire?" He ended up finding they actually still had the same mold from the tire. This
Oh
old
wow.
tire that is no longer manufactured. And he says, "I want whatever it was 10,000 of those tires." And it was like, "Okay, yeah, we can do it." And then he called the person who knew they couldn't get those tires anymore, and he mocked it up, and he said he had like their logos on it or their branding, their
Hmm.
colors, and he had three different things. He said, "Hey, I got these tires, and they don't make them anymore, but I talked to the manufacturer. We're gonna make X amount of tires." And he's like, "Yeah, they bought all the tires. It was like 30,000 tires or something like that."
Yeah.
It was to the point where his boss called him like, "Are you stealing money from us? Because we've never seen anybody sell this many tires." Like, kind of like, "Are you making up
Yeah.
these
Are you
these
embezzling?
orders?
Yeah.
You making up these purchase orders so we can
Yeah.
and pocketing some money?" He's like, "No, this is what I'm doing." And it's basically like, um, yeah, he was killing it. But yeah, to that point, he went direct to the source and said, "Hey,
Hmm.
this is what I need. Um, uh, I have someone who has the demand, and yeah, make them." And
Hmm.
yeah, he was just easy, like just straight cold calls, connecting the dots. I like stuff like that. I like hearing stuff like that from people. Um, and I think of it, I don't have like an actual product to sell. And I mean, unless we go to China and get the sweaters straight from the source, which I don't know why we haven't done. Well, I know why we haven't done, but because I
Yeah.
mean, it's
Yeah.
far.
Yeah. First of all, that is like yes, it is far, but that is like the on the bottom of the list of reasons. Like
I like to start from the
you
bottom.
know what I mean? That's not even like reason number one.
Right.
That's like reason number 50.
Right.
Like,
But yeah, I mean, we talk about stuff like that all. When you have a product you want to get to market, go straight to the source. But yeah, I like that.
yeah, so just and by the way, it's called Reference USA. I just looked it up.
Mm.
Um, so you can only access it in the library. So you go to the library, you got to put in your number, a little pin number, and all that, and then you can go on there and search all the manufacturers like domestically.
Mm.
So there's other ones for international and like China and stuff, but that one is domestic in case you don't want to deal with like language barriers or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, that's how it works.
Yeah, so that's your
You
gold
know,
nugget for the day. Yeah, thank you for that.
that's that's how
Go
it
out and be
works.
successful. Get rich by Monday. Tell a friend about the podcast.
Yeah, I mean, this is I might just drop this one today, uh, just because like why not?
Yeah, you can do what
Um,
you want. You know, when you CEO of your own stuff,
yeah,
you the distributor. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So next time we'll talk about the. I guess I know it ain't hot anymore with the BAV loan information.
No, I mean we can still talk about it. I think it's good to cause I got asked about it yesterday.
Yeah, since it's all cooling down and all the random information is wrong. It's already came out. You
Yeah,
can come out and clear a scene of ridiculous information.
yeah. I got asked about it yesterday from the lady I was meeting with.
Yeah.
She asked me about it. So I mean it's something people they don't. I don't think there's ever been like clarity on it. Again, the attention of a specific group of people, they got information right away,
Mm-hmm.
right? But if you're outside of that, where does that information come from?
Yeah.
So they don't, they don't know what it is. They just heard about it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Especially her, because she's not buying no houses. So it's like, oh, I heard about this. What is
You just
this?
want to know. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah. I mean, that's what it is. We have to be a resource to people.
yeah. So and maybe we're at the end of the episode, but maybe next week I'll fill everybody in on what that is,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of lessons in that situation. Um,
Yeah. I got several
just in
notes on it. So,
yeah, um, yeah. So
all right, let's wrap us up.
I think we are good to go. Zip it up
Mm-hmm.
and zip it out. And thank y'all for listening and tuning in with us. I know we've been on a hiatus. It wasn't planned. It just kind of happened. Technical difficulties, and then Dorance is also committed to like 8 different things right now.
You're gonna blame
So,
me.
you
Yeah,
know,
my schedule's on point right now.
it's on point for you because it's yours. Like that's
My
what I'm saying.
schedule, my schedule's on point.
um, so we gotta find. Well, the only reason why we don't have a big window is because it completely like leaves out any like nighttime activity,
Yeah.
because y'all gotta get up so early to go doing what you're doing right now. Tell people what you're doing. See, we talking about it.
Yeah.
Tell them. Go ahead, do
Tell them.
that. Tell them.
Don't tell them. Tell them, Cletus. Tell them.
Tell them what you're doing.
Basically just doing the 75 hard challenge. It's not a challenge I made up. It's 75hard.com. If somebody's interested in looking at the specifics. But this guy Andy made it up. I think it's Andy Frigna or something like that. If I'm butchering that, my bad. But I didn't hear about it straight from him. I heard it from. I mean, it's kind of floating around.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen one of the partners do it. Um, Shout out Lee Artist. I seen him do it on his
That's right. He
Instagram
did.
a few months ago,
That's right.
and it always just piqued my interest, and I just shelved it. Like I'm not doing that right now. And then it came up where I was like, all right, well I'll go ahead and I'll try it. Everything came to a head. Was like, all right, well let's go ahead and do this. But basically the overview is it's 2 45-minute workouts a day, drinking a gallon of water, reading 10 pages from a book,
Mm-hmm.
and following a diet, and no liquor and no cheat meals, and take a progress report or progress photo of yourself,
Mm-hmm.
of your physical self a day.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. That's it. So in the beginning, it was like so why I started doing it is because I wanted to focus on more mental discipline, right? Of
Mm-hmm.
doing, setting out and doing things I said I was going to do, and then complete them. What I didn't think I would learn from this challenge, and right now I think it's day 23 or 24, is time maintenance. Time
Mm-hmm.
maintenance was a huge one. I didn't think I would get from this challenge. I didn't expect. So I think of time differently now, to where it was like it was more relegated to, okay, it'll take me 20 minutes to get here. I have to leave at this time. And I'm looking a little bit further out in terms of, okay, I have this appointment. I finish up here, and then from there, the closest place to hike or walk is 10 minutes. I can get dressed in 10 minutes and then go on my 45-minute hike. Clean up, be done by this
Mm-hmm.
time. So my time maintenance and the way I think of it now in maintaining time is different now, which I didn't expect to get. The other thing is um, my ability, the endurance, that I'm getting um, from the challenge, not just in doing the workouts, but the endurance of pushing through times where I thought I was tired, um, when I still had more to give. So now I'm recognizing the difference between my lazy tired, to where I don't want to do that, um, my my tired as I'm physically exhausted, and the tired of, no, I can't, I literally cannot do that. So um, now I know the difference between those different types of tired, and I find the more you break through each one, including the one where you just say I can't do it, it's like a sliding scale of endurance that slides further
Mm-hmm.
to the right of what you actually can do, uh, which happens, incrementally.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, it's it's been interesting. It's been interesting that I realize how much I can get done in one day based on how I'm framing my days out now. Um, in addition to that, I've added um, time maintenance zones that I do now,
Mm-hmm.
and that's pretty much broken down into 7 different zones I have to maintain, and that includes 3 spaces: my office, my main house, and my outside landscaping. So I have all those broken down into 7 zones, and I work on those zones 20 minutes each every day to get those things to. Because what I find is when you have a tight schedule, things like not having clean clothes, um, not having your dishes clean, not having your pantry packed or your refrigerator packed or cleaned out, it just ruins the whole day, the whole next day. If I wake up
Yeah.
and I'm like, I have no clothes to wear,
Yeah.
I didn't
Everything's
wash any
thrown off.
clothes, I didn't fold any clothes, or I'm searching through clean clothes, a bag of clean clothes, trying to find some underwear, or some socks that match. You know, it
Yeah.
just ruins the whole day.
I did that today. So I know what you mean.
Man, I'm like, this is ruining everything, and then you start your day off in an anxiety fit, and it's like, okay, it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
So I'm learning to just add little bit, little by little, and then we're still doing the 100 push-up challenge a day.
Mm-hmm.
Been doing that since September 22nd, and then I added 200 crunches after that 30-day challenge. So I
Yeah. I
think it's
seen
been
that.
like day
I seen that.
14, 15 and something
Yeah.
like that. So yeah, my day really looks like, getting up early, doing push-ups and crunches, getting the kids ready, making breakfast, taking them to school. On my late days, on my early days, I'm up before they get up and get to the gym. Um, it's usually like 5 o'clock. Get back at
Mm-hmm.
6:30. Get them ready for school, cook breakfast, those type of things. On my later days, if I feel like I need some more sleep, I'm getting up later, which is naturally about 6 o'clock. I'm trying to get it to 5 o'clock consistently. But right now, that's where we are. So it's about
Mm-hmm.
small tweaks for me. From there, I'm getting them again, doing my push ups and sit ups, usually at home. Um, Cooking them breakfast, getting them ready, taking them to school. Then after they go to school, drop them off, I go to the gym, 45 minutes, and then I'm getting back home. I'm getting back home. I'm either doing 20 minutes on part of my maintenance schedule, or and then the plan is always get back in my chair ready for work about 9:30.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm doing the main things that need to be done, like calls, databasing, following up. And that's usually like nine to 12. But it's just all like regimented now, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm getting down to the main things that need to be done. And I learned that if I do the bulk of stuff that I don't want to do first, like everything else kind of figures itself out, you know. But yeah, that's it. That's it. It's been a journey. So it's day 24, I think. So today I've already went to the gym early in the morning, and that's the main thing. Like I have to do that in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
So now I just break my day into like three phases. That first phase, I get most of the things done. I kind of front load it, and that's everything before 12 p.m. And that's drinking 1/3 of the water, get my first workout in, doing 100 push-ups, the 100 sit-ups, reading my book, taking a progress photo, and that's all before 12 p.m., you know.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, okay, cool, I have legs now. Now I can go into the second phase, which starts um, between 12 and 5 p.m. And that's when I do my other third water, my second workout usually, and and then I got to pick the kids up at 5. So then it goes back into now my home life, and that home life includes getting home, washing dishes, putting dishes up, washing clothes, folding a load of clothes, and um, trying to work on my maintenance zone.
Yeah.
And it's just it's every day, which I find if you do things every day, it's a little bit better for me, where I don't have to ramp up to say, okay, I'm done on Friday, and now I'm about to go get get loose on Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday try to ramp up again to get back on my shit. So it's
No,
just
that makes
every day
sense.
now. So it's like my old saying, every day is day.
Yeah, that
Every day
make
is
that makes
every day
sense.
is day. It's a day to get after it. But I haven't been on no like team no sleep or going crazy. Like I'm well rested, and I don't feel overwhelmed or have any type of anxiety with what I'm doing now. I feel good about it.
Yeah. No, that's what's up. I mean, everything is just finding your rhythm,
Hmm.
and I think the reason why it can seem daunting at first, like if you're someone who's contemplating doing it, um, a lot of it I think has to do with, I can just say for myself, a lot of it has to do with like not being in rhythm. And so it's almost like double dutch. Like, okay, well, I don't know how to jump rope. Am I gonna miss? Am I gonna fall? Blah blah blah. Um, but it all goes back to just getting in rhythm.
Yeah, it takes
Finding
time.
whatever that rhythm is.
It takes time to build momentum. It starts like with one thing.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't start the crunches until after I did the push-ups consistently. You know,
Yeah.
even before the challenge, I was consistently going to the gym. 5 days a week before going 7. So it's like it's baby steps. It's baby steps, and it's really I think of it as just you compounding disciplines now. Once you have one discipline, you keep it, and then you compound to the
Mm-hmm.
next one.
Yep.
So you have to find one discipline somewhere. Like if that's getting up early and brushing your teeth and flossing and washing your face, like do that consistently every day. You know, And then you can stack disciplines.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
that's how it works.
well, I think I think this is gonna be it for us today. So, because we gotta get back to home life.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I still
you
got
know,
my second workout to do. All right, wrap us
yeah.
up.
All right. Well, thank y'all for tuning in to another episode of the Rich by Monday podcast. Um, we're gonna get back in the rhythm again. We just fell off for a minute, but if you're still listening, make sure you go to the website, go get your merch, richbymonday.com. Use code RBM20 for 20% off all orders. That's still going for a little bit.
And can I use that?
Yeah, if you want to, yeah. Yeah.
I'm thinking I might do some more larges.
We do have larges in storage.
All right.
Um,
I think I might switch out for large.
I'm probably gonna end up going with I found another vendor. I just gotta go talk to him and see if they can do what we want. But I'm probably gonna switch vendors.
Okay.
Because of the situation that happened with the last vendor, I don't feel like they made that whole. So, I'm not. I don't want to really spend money with them anymore. I think they got the idea.
Yeah.
So yeah, but we do have larges. We have everything except for mediums. We are completely sold out of mediums. And I had ordered some more, but they were on back order. But I don't think I'll ever get those because I'll probably be going to another vendor.
All right.
So yeah, go to the
All right.
website, get your merch. We'll see y'all next week.
All right.